Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sean Jenkins, Sector Head of the Hedgeye Gaming, Lodging, and Leisure team. We're here today for another installment, and it is my distinct pleasure and privilege to welcome back to the Hedgeye studio, despite the volatile market, Ismail Vali of YieldSec, a cutting-edge company that I think is starting to make some waves across the gaming industry. We're here, obviously, to talk about the online gaming sector and the massive opportunity that is the illegal channel that we do think at some point, potentially, the legal channel will be able to tap into. As I put it just a few moments ago, there's a little bit of a conundrum here. They have the legal channel has a massive problem on their hands, but also a massive opportunity. Maybe a good place to start. You put together an awesome deck with a lot of interesting data that I think our customers will very much appreciate getting their eyes on. So we'll dive into some of the data, but maybe just a lay of the land to start and the idea of opportunity and also a problem. Maybe.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me again. It was
awesome.
a pleasure to see you.
Great to see you.
Keep with our traditions. So yeah, we have definitely in the legal sector, and thank you for using the word sector this time, because we have one marketplace in the United States, as in every other online jurisdiction. There is one marketplace. There are two industries present within it. One legal, licensed and regulated, one illegal, unlicensed, unregulated, and as we clearly say, criminal as well. So in America, it's the same as in every other marketplace. Somebody has taken the money. Somebody has stolen the money. Somebody is carrying on stealing that money. And if we can bring up the first slide, please, guys. Where is all of the gold in America's online gambling gold rush? So this is what everybody was saying it was 7 years ago, at the point where we have the repeal of PASPA 2018. Everybody was saying, we're going to America. It's a gold rush. We're going to go and get that gold. Yep. So where is the gold, everybody? Where is that gold? Now, I can answer that briefly for everybody. You look year on year as to where this money is going to. YieldSec has a system and a team that basically look at all of the audience, all their activity, all of the time. We look at metadata from above, so all we're looking at is where are the audience, what are they doing? I don't know that it's you, Sean, doing that stuff, but I do know that you're based here in Connecticut doing it. So looking at that audience data, doing the analysis, we set up a data business after my 20 years in the online operations, running companies like Paradise Poker, PokerStars, and SportingBet. I came from operations, came from a marketing background. What led me to set up YieldSec? People weren't making the money they should. Clients were coming to me on a consulting basis from Europe, from America, saying, we're just not making money anymore. How can you not make money in this business, okay? How can you not? In the online gaming business, when there's so much of the audience who want to play, demand and desire these products, how are you not making money? So the biggest concern, where is all that gold? To answer it shortly, all that gold is in the banks in Panama, Costa Rica, Curacao, and Malta, because that's the significant problem of the illegal operators who are bringing services to America. They're all based there. So there's part of this, which is go get your money back, and there's part of this, which is stop being stolen from. Stop it, okay? So it's not just about having to stop the websites from Curacao, Malta, Panama, it's also having to stop the supply chain that activates those illegal businesses. And fundamentally, these are American businesses based in America, the legal ones, publicly traded firms owned by investors. These should be delivering profit, and no one is making the money they should. No one, okay? And if that money doesn't come in to the companies, that means there's no money in tax, that means there's no money for investors and dividend payments, and the success story, the gambling gold rush, where is the gold? So today, let's discuss how we're going to find that gold.
All right, let's dive in.
Okay. Next slide, please, guys. So what do we look at? So everything that we do at YieldSec starts with the ecosystem essentials. So we call them that, but this is the same for the legal sector of the business and the illegal sector of the business. Let's find where the audience are, what their activity is over time. So starting at the top, points of the compass here, search, sites, streaming, and social. So where are the websites? Where is the streaming? Now, when we say streaming, the most important thing to remember here is we're not interested in Netflix and Amazon necessarily. We are interested in YouTube. We are interested in Kick. We are interested in Twitch because they have user-generated stuff on there. And quite often that can be inflected by illegal gambling through affiliate deals. We're also looking at illegal streaming generally. Look at last year, the boxing matches between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. We had 20 million illegal stream views of 90 seconds plus on the first fight, 3.5 million illegal stream views on the second fight in December, all of which were brought to you courtesy of who? Illegal gambling, because there is a horribly dark nexus between illegal gambling and illegal streaming. They cross-fertilize as businesses now. We're noticing a new dynamic coming out of illegal gambling where they're using rolling URLs. So they're constantly changing their ads and where those ads connect to. So they know that we can't just have one website, illegalgambling.com, we need to have many. And illegal streaming knew and understood and learned from that lesson. knows how to run a business as usual strategy to stop them being turned off years ago. So illegal gambling's now cross-fertilized with illegal streaming. They know how to keep their product available all the time. You need a platform like YieldSec to help you find where the thieves are any time of day. Social media obviously brings in a ton of stuff unknowingly. Social media don't want to be making money out of crime, but they are the unknowing, unconscious getaway driver in that car. So all of those ads that are being placed by illegal gambling, they're helpless to stop it. They're like, well, we didn't even know there were illegal gambling. Because no illegal gambling company is going to the social media company, going to the banks and going, hi, I'm illegal gambling and I'd like to open some bank accounts and some advertising buying accounts. They don't do that, they lie. They say that they're in the pizza business, the online underwear sales business, whatever they need to say to get that account, have it monitored for 28 days, and then they know after that, generally these things work on complaints from audience members. So I'll lie for the first 28 days is what they'll do. So what you need to get to here, stop social media being used as the unknown getaway driver. All the social media platforms we cooperate with, they're very happy to oblige when you can point to them and say, this content needs to be removed. Why? It's another form of criminal content.
Yeah.
Get rid of it, that's it. Keep the money where it should be. Look at apps, look at affiliate, look at advertising, and then look at peer-to-peer communications. So we don't need to be cracking WhatsApp, Telegram, and Signal, because all of this stuff is trying to be found, obviously, Sean. So there's nothing here that needs an American consumer to end up in the dark web or the bad side of town to find their illegal gambling. Their illegal gambling is hiding in plain sight everywhere, every day. And we'll touch on a statistic today, a new YieldSec statistic called Audience Exposure Measure, where we're showing you where the business is going in the future. So if you're an American consumer who has an interest in gambling, are you looking at what online? Legal gambling or illegal gambling? Because remember here, we're in a world where the more you sail into this territory, the more you sail into will have engaged with and interacted with illegal gambling, you're going to see even more of it in future because your algorithm gets infected by this now.
Yeah.
So it's at a point where you need to know how we get rid of this impacting American consumers, how we get rid of the parasites who are stealing American money, American innovation, American jobs, American taxes, and the American ability to look after their own marketplace. Gambling is an industry that features products that have risks. We all know what those risks are. Consumers happily embrace those risks. It's called risk itself, okay? That's what it is. It's a risk management business. So if you want to get this to a point where we make the money we should from it and we can keep children excluded, we can keep vulnerables excluded, people who have self-admitted gambling problems, for example, you can only do that when you have sincere control over the marketplace. How do you get that control? Control the money, first of all. So let's talk about how we get to that money. So that ninth ecosystem essential, slide 4 please, guys. Ninth ecosystem essential, audience success. So we never, when we look at everything, we're obviously looking at where the audience is, what their activity is. Fundamentally, what is YieldSec? Help you follow the money so you could make the money you should, whether you're an operator, an affiliate, a government regulator, government treasury team, law enforcement. You're all interested in that money. Everybody is interested in that money because that pays for everything in this business. And this is a business that, when you run it correctly, can generate substantial good for society in taxes, in community benefits, in the commerce that comes from it locally, and also for consumers who can play a fair, safe, sustainable product for their entertainment hobby. That's what we should get from this. So follow that money, get to the audience success. Slide 5, please, guys. Fundamental 5 for 2025. So let's just try and break this down because I know this is a big area and everybody hears illegal gambling and they think it's one problem. There are many problems in this area, okay? It's a whole, just a buffet of problems. So we need to know, how do we break down that buffet of bad to get to the things we really want here? We want the nice, we want the shrimp and the steak. We want to get to that surf and turf mix for Americans in America, in any of the economies we look at. Fundamental 5, the audience. Everything is about looking at that audience. How have they been sold to? And remember here, the audience has been buying illegal gambling for 3 decades, okay, since online came along. So for the online evolution, we've basically had 7 years where we're not crossing over well here. So as you said at the beginning, this is not channelizing correctly. So it's a whole bunch of bad this year is what we're looking at. We had not such great results last year. The growth rate in legal is slowing up. Growth rate in illegal is increasing, and more of what people see is illegal. The progress. Progress here means one thing. America needs to get to the point where all products are legal, okay? Even new innovation products like predictors, okay? You need to start legalizing this stuff, and you need to stop thinking we can just do one product, let's license sports betting, we'll come back to the rest later. No. And we're going to be able to show you from the data today why that makes no sense anymore. And if you're a tribal group if you're a commercial casino group, racetrack group who is lobbying against online coming, you need to look at this data and really ask yourself a question. Why are we complaining about legal online firms when we should be trying to work with them? Because the one advantage that legal gambling has, land-based resorts. Land-based resorts. You make those work with online services, and now you have a earn and return strategy. Customers come to a land-based resort, they have a great time, they put the app on their phone, they leave, they earn points to come back for another day. The earn and return strategy is something illegal gambling does not have, and we need to be looking hard right now for unique selling points. Stuff that's going to work, stuff that's going to make customers stay with legal brands, because customer choice and convenience is what illegal brands have right now. Illegal can say, we have all the products. You can lose on sports, here's some casino chips. You can lose on casino, here's some poker, here's some lottery games. They'll sell you whatever they need to because they're a multi-product destination site, and they understand that they got the wind in their sails on, we are customer champions. We give the customers what they want. You want bets with Taylor Swift on the Super Bowl? We've got 4,000. 4,000 illegal gambling markets on Taylor Swift in this year's Super Bowl, okay? What did legal gambling have? Zero, nothing on Taylor Swift. But that's what the audience were clicking on social media, and we'll talk a little more about that later.
We had the coin flips, though, like I told you.
We got the coin flips and we got the Gatorade.
Yeah,
Only took 7 years, but we got the coin flips and the Gatorade.
Well, like I said in our chat in December, we're just looking for a little bit of progress towards something.
It's progress that's going somewhere, but the main progress I'm going to ask you about today is you need to license all the products. Yeah. Because what we can see from any of the states, if you're a state that has, we have our three little pigs analogy, if you're a state that's built its house from straw, you've got no products like California and Texas and Utah, you're just throwing money to crime. And crime will bring that money back. It reinvests in crime, after all. That's what it spends its money on. Right. They're going to bring crime right back to your backyard and make even more problems for you that you'll need to spend more money alleviating in future. If you build your house out of straw, you have one legal product like New York does. You're still giving away billions to crime in casino, and then they're going to start cannibalizing your sports industry. So if there's any cannibalization to talk of, it's the fact that you license one product, wait, and then you find that crime comes back and goes, okay, so you're kind of beating us at our own game on the sports betting thing. Now we want revenge, so we're going to give you predictors to take air out of the sports betting marketplace. We're going to start bringing new ways of betting on things and explaining to the consumers as customer beneficial, and we'll find that your marketplace disappears all of a sudden, but it's ours now. The next one is the tax. So everybody's talking about tax rates. Yep. Why? There's a really simple, just go back, guys. Sorry, one more slide. Go back to the fundamental 5 on page 5.
Slide 5.
There's one point here where everybody needs to understand with the tax. Of course, they're talking about tax increases. We're 7 years in now, so it's, it's a political, it's like the period of a government and then some, where people are going, we need to maybe get to the tax that we promised everybody years ago. We need to get that money in. So we told people there were tens of millions, billions of dollars potentially coming in tax. And nobody's getting the tax they should, apart from New York, because there's a crazy tax rate of 51% on stakes, which is unsustainable. But everybody's there because it's the runaway train market from a growth perspective in America right now. So the tax is a problem because you're not making the tax you should, but that's because no one's making the money they should. So if no one's making the money they should, it's obvious you're not going to make the tax. Let's get back to remove the crime, channelize the business properly, give them their own lane to own and drive down, okay? Give them the lane. Then they will legal industry will help you get rid of crime because they're going to be competitive now, finally. But they're never going to be competitive without cross-sell, without the ability to go, here's sports, here's casino, here's poker, all the products in one place, multi-account, win on sports, lose on poker, we'll give you money back. And then the crime, fundamentally, it all comes down to this. The biggest enemy you have to everything in any of these marketplaces is this. Once you legalize, once you regulate, once you legislate for this stuff, who's your enemy? Crime is your enemy. Crime is always the enemy, and they are always going to be taking your money. Even if you have a strategy to remove websites and block things and do payment blocking, they'll find another way in. Yeah. That's how crime works, evolves and adapts. And just to give the analogy we always use on this one, there's no point throwing all the police in New York to one street corner where you saw some drug dealing. Do you think that ended drug dealing? Of course it didn't. They just went somewhere else to another street corner. So even if you went on every street corner in New York and stopped drug dealing, it doesn't mean that drug dealing ended. Crime evolves, it adapts and finds ways because they like stealing, and it's very low entry for them. Very limited investment to make money from compared to look at the millions and billions we spend to make these businesses work, make them compliant, make them fair, safe, entertaining, sustainable. Crime is the enemy. Let's remember that, okay? Always. Slide 6, Three Little Pigs. Thank you, gentlemen. Right. 3 stages of commercial reality here. So as we mentioned, build your house from straw, nothing legal, okay? The big bad wolf of illegal gambling is going to huff, puff, blow your house down. Real easy, okay? And it is doing that, California, Texas, Utah. Build your house from straw, just sports betting, just one product, okay? Then everybody went with sports betting. It's interesting that nobody decided to go, why don't we try casino first? Everybody went for sports first, okay? So sports betting first, we legalize it, but there's only one product, and then we sit on our hands for years hoping that this is going to channelize the marketplace, and it will not. Crime is basically there to go, okay, you may have hit us in the first year when you first legalized. There's always that rush of people going to legal sites. But then the customers are like, this isn't very good compared to the gambling I've been doing for the last 3 decades. This sucks, because all I can do is bet on sports, and it's a limited spread of markets. And sometimes I thought I was going to be able to bet on the Oscars, or bet on the Gatorade, or bet on the election. And then they took it away from me because there was something in the press about the regulator said no. No consumer wants or understands this stuff. They don't want to engage with it either. They just want to know what they can bet on. And if they can find those bets, like the Taylor Swift ones on the Super Bowl, everywhere on social media, all linking to illegal gambling, they will engage and interact with it and fundamentally transact with it. If you build your house from bricks, legal sports betting and casino, as you've got in some states in America, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Michigan, are you making the money you should? So let's find out. Slide 7. So online gambling legality, map of America there. Red, nothing legal. Built your house from straw. Green is everything legal. Built your house from bricks. And blue, legal sports betting only. The vast majority, 38 states of America. Now the states that are potential to legislate here, we've got Massachusetts, Indiana, South Carolina, Texas, and Minnesota. Georgia already went south on everyone already because it's
close. It was closer this year, though. Much closer.
Much closer.
Year. Final hour, they pulled it, though.
But again, you're just giving the money to crime. So it's a gift. So you're taking your bricks you could have had, and you're going, there you go, crime. What do you want to do with those things?
What we'll do is we'll send this deck over to the fine folks down in the Peach State of Georgia. And
Absolutely.
we'll tell them to wake up. I'm kidding. I cover a bunch of other industries as well. I'm obviously kidding, but they do have another year before potential. I mean, it was supposed to be for the 26 referendum, just Georgia specifically, but I did think it was, no one was really as focused on it. We were watching it really closely with a number of our clients, and obviously it was pulled at the final hour. But
I never want to say here that this is anybody's fault. Okay, if there's anybody who's culpable,
well, someone's at fault.
Culpability. And, no, let's be clear here. Culpability and blame here comes down to one group: criminals. Okay, they came to steal our money. They have been stealing our money. They're going to continue stealing our money unless we put in place kicking them out at the top of the pyramid here. So the most important job when you look at legalizing a marketplace, kick the crime out. Second most important job, keep the crime out. Third most important job, make sure you have processes that stop crime coming in through other doorways, okay? So we're just in a hall of doorways here, and we need to know, let's stop. Some you need to open and just look through, some you need to not go in at all.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff in online gaming, we need to understand. If you have a moral view about this, where you're not legalizing all the products, that view is about to be blown out of the water in the next couple of slides, okay? So let's look at top 10 states. Where's the value opportunity?
Yep. Slide 8. Yep. Slide
Thank you, gentlemen. So, where's the value opportunity? New York right at the top here, Pennsylvania, Ohio, New Jersey, California, Illinois, Michigan, Texas, Florida, Virginia. Whole mix of blue, green, and red on there, okay? The reds, let's take those in first. California and Texas. Why aren't you legislating for online gaming in some form? Hopefully all forms, because you need to look at this and learn from what everybody else has learned from here. You are not making money. You are giving money to crime, and that means not just the opportunity that's been lost to crime, but a whole bunch of future innovation that's going to be burned, a whole bunch of American jobs that won't be created, a whole bunch of American tax that won't be built, and fundamentally, in this crucible of innovation that America always is for online industry, where the hell is the online gaming industry in this country right now? So we're all in this position where no one's making money. That means a lack of investment. That means a lack of investor sentiment. That means a lack of belief in the business's future. So we're kind of at a real tipping point here of where are the next 7 years of this business, okay? So like that example from the Bible here. You had 7 fat years, 7 lean with Joseph and the pharaohs and the cows kind of thing. You're looking at a famine here in the industry of who's going to keep investing in this business unless you're making money from it. So in the great American gambling gold rush, where's the gold? You can clearly see here from our total marketplace perspective, legal sector, illegal sector, total. So let's look at New York. So $2 billion is coming in GGR to the legals. That's just on sports betting, okay? Legals are paying a 51% tax rate on stakes to make that $2 billion, okay? So you might think there's a lot of money being made there. There isn't.
No,
they're
zero.
paying, everyone's losing money because of the tax rate there. And also, they're not able to keep the customers because the customers are using brands in every state, not just in New York, like a supermarket discount coupon. Okay, I'm being blunt about it, but that's the truth of it. Customers online, from everything that they see, legal and illegal opportunities, what would I choose to bet with? Illegals every time, because I'll get a $200 bet on the sports and I get a $50 free chip in the casino. I get 500 free spins on a slot machine. Of course you're going to take that offer. It's value, and customers are value focused. They're not dumb, American gambling consumers. No gambling consumer is, because you're betting on your opinion with your money. Okay? That takes balls, and it also takes some intelligence. I'm working out form and value here. So look at that total marketplace, $7 billion, okay, in New York, okay? Is being basically wasted there. 5.3 billion of that is going to crime. So 72% of the market's gone. Look at Ohio, okay? That's a marketplace worth $6.2 billion. We're giving 5.3 of it to crime, okay? Insanity. So the one thing to notice on here is, look at those green ones, okay? So green, where you had legal sector, let's go to the next slide here to make this point. So next slide, slide 9, guys. We've got sports and casino splits here.
I think most of the people listening to this call, this is probably where they will spend most of their time on the deck, because they're worried about the addressability and what the opportunity is, and discounting it back and what have you. But
look, before we get to the next slide, it's important to note we did not set YieldSec up to basically report on data and go, oh, it's terrible, everything's screwed up. We should all just go and live in a log cabin somewhere. Forget about the world, okay? Turn our back on everything is the end of times. No, the point of YieldSec is not to tell you the sky is falling. It's to say, yeah, it might be, and this is how to stop that sky falling on you. This is how to make the money you should. Right. This is how to kick that crime out. And it doesn't mean that we're a crime-fighting organization. We're a make the money you should organization. Right. We get our clients to put on the Batman mask and cape when they need to, because it's in everyone's interest to make the money you should. So kicking out crime becomes part of your daily mantra. It's part of your reason for running the business, part of your reason for existing, part of your brand. Make the money you should. So we're on slide 10 now, guys. Slide 10, we're going to show sports and casino splits here, okay? Now in New York,
slide 9.
Slide 9. Sorry, 8. Sorry, 9. Sorry, 9. You're correct, guys. I apologize.
This is the money slide.
This is the money slide. So sports and
quite
casino.
Literally the money slide.
Exactly. Sports and casino splits. New York, no legal online casino. We have $4.3 billion a year in GGR, the leftover. So GGR, what does it mean for anyone who's watching who doesn't know this? That's all the bets placed minus customer winnings equals GGR, gross gaming revenue, okay? We're going to call it yield. Obviously, the name of the company is YieldSec, short for yield security. That's what this comes from. So in New York, you can clearly see there, you're only bringing in $2 billion. But the point to point here on that first line of New York, legal sector, $2.1 billion in sports, $983 million in illegals. So yeah, high five on that, okay? Yeah. We are beating the illegals in that marketplace.
But there's still $1 billion.
Only on sports. It's still $1 billion, but at least it's moving the right way.
That's right.
So again, sky is definitely falling. It's getting lower. Clouds are dark, but at least they're starting to break up slightly. Okay. So we may not be in Kansas anymore. We're in New York, but at least there's no tornado right there on top of us. Okay, all the time. So let's look at another one of these states, Pennsylvania. Okay. So Pennsylvania, you've got all products legalized: sports, casino, and poker. Okay. Let's not talk about all the other stuff, predictors and social casino and crypto casino and all these other things that create a lot of noise, and we should touch on that in a second. Here we've got $2.8 billion in legal casino, $2.2 billion in illegal casino, okay? But it's fairly recent that that's happened, so we're looking at the evolution, the crossover period. In sports, 778 million, 414 million for illegal sports. So again, we are beating crime now, okay? So we're over 50% channelized in the marketplace. That's a lot better than most states in America, where it's 70-30, roughly, is what we're looking at. So overall blend, all products, 70-30, 74-20, 26 is what you're looking at in most places. Here, at least you're saying more than 50% of the business has gone legal. More than 50% is coming into these companies. It's still not great. We still need to get to the profitability point, but that probably doesn't kick in until 65-70% of the marketplace is coming to you as legal brands now. And it's always going to be a job, getting rid of crime. Identify it, remove it, exclude it, and make sure it's keeping it removed going forwards. Same thing in New Jersey and Michigan as well. So here you've got both lines there. For the legal sector on casino, legal sector on sports, we are generally beating crime, okay? So I think New Jersey was one where in both of them, we got 2.4 billion for casino, 1.6 to crime for casino, 1.2 billion on sports, and 956 million for crime on sports. And then in Michigan, we've got 2.4 on casino, and we've got 1.3 on crime to casino. 470 million for sports, not so good there, because we've got 896 million going to illegals on that one. Now that's because of the particular ways that they've inflected the product in Michigan, what's available, and you can clearly see that illegals have adapted on sports. What is the Taylor Swift stuff all about? The Caitlin Clark stuff last year on March Madness? What is that all about? You're using social media to drive activity from new audiences, females in particular, and you're making it entertaining betting. So it's not just about your hardcore guy that's following, I'm interested in the line on NFL teams, I'm interested in US NBA and basketball teams and college football. You're looking for new people because you're trying to say we are losing money to legals on some of our products. So if I'm a crook and I'm running an illegal gambling operation, I need to think about innovation. Where's my next audience coming from? How do I get people to bet more without even thinking it's bets?
So you're saying because of how well the casino side has done, and maybe a lot of that is, I mean, the market just took off. It was on a rope for the longest time. BetMGM obviously has done really well. They have the big casino there in Detroit. I say big, it's not the best casino to visit, but it certainly does well.
Exactly.
One area where like the online casino to brick and mortar omni-channel strategy has definitely worked. That's interesting to see it, because if you kind of compare the Pennsylvania and New Jersey example, that sports in Michigan is certainly an outlier.
Yes, sports in Michigan is an outlier, but it's kind of on the ropes, because what they did in Michigan is they went, these guys love casino in Michigan. They love that, that's the lead product for that audience, okay? So they're going to like sports if we casino-fy it. Let's make it more like a casino. So one of the biggest things we saw across America at Christmas was prediction marketplaces, who's betting on these things. So we've been saying for a long time, we were the first business, I think, in the world to notice prediction marketplace are borrowing, they're stealing air and oxygen from sports betting, okay? So this may have started on financial apps, predictor marketplaces were, where's the price of Bitcoin going to go in the next 60 seconds, 60 minutes? That's where it started, but then it's user-generated content, so it adapts, okay? It changes, and that's chaos coming into it. So like the example in Jurassic Park, when you drop the water on the hand, which way is it going to go? The chaos theory. That's what happened in that marketplace in predictors. Started on financials and went to everything. So it went into sports betting. It went into when will Barbara Streisand die, the thing that we mentioned last time. Just to say it again, long live Barbara Streisand on that one. Don't want anything bad happen to Barbara, she's a saint. So prediction marketplaces came into that area, and then users started saying, well, I want to just run bets on the NFL, on the NBA, on college basketball. I want to do that here. So prediction marketplaces are borrowing air from the sports betting industry, legal and illegal. Illegals understood very quickly, let's offer bets and predictors on things that are just novelties, just to make money out of people hand over fist. One of the biggest bets at Christmas was Biggie and Tupac will be resurrected on New Year's Day with Jesus, okay? So that was running on prediction marketplaces. People were taking that bet, and this is what the consumer behavior with it was, because people would be thinking, it's not going to happen. Why would anyone bet on that? It's insane. Why? Because it's something to put on your social media feed.
Right.
So people were just taking the bet to go, hey guys, I just got this $1 bet on
it or
Biggie, Tupac are coming back, represent, and all this kind of stuff.
So that's more, but that's less on the platforms, the legal platforms that are trying to be regulated, like Kalshi and those ones.
Not those guys. Again, we're very different here. Legal, do the things that they're supposed to.
Similar product,
run
but
proper businesses. And illegals are giving predictor marketplaces a bad name generally, but that's because that whole business should be legal and regulated, and then it should be shared by the sports betting companies, the legal gambling companies, shared by new breed companies like Kalshi and Polymarket, whoever want to come into this thing. Whoever wants to be legal, regulated, and become a legal stakeholder, of course we've got time for you. Of course we've got share a marketplace here for you. What we don't want is a new breed product like predictors becoming completely tainted and corrupted by crime, where they're doing stuff like those Biggie and Tupac bets. And the audience see it then, from the audience understanding of what predictors are, that will be a standout bet in the future. The Barbara Streisand stuff, the Taylor Swift stuff, the Biggie and Tupac stuff, those will be seen as definitions of this is why it's a bad product morally. This is why it's a rip-off and a scam. But that's not what Kalshi are doing, is it?
No.
Okay? We can all see that from what they're offering. And they are that bleeding edge brand who we want to be legal, we want to be regulated, we want to be taxed, we want to be American. And we want to be America first, generating money here in the States as well. And keeping them on the outside just means that crime outside the fence, and we'll talk about that fence example in a minute, you need to rope off this marketplace from other people, from crime basically coming into it. The people who are here are the ones who paid the ticket of entry to get in to the theme park of online gaming, okay? The ones you need to keep out are the crooks and people who don't want to come on shore, don't want to be taxed and regulated, can't be because they've got criminal backgrounds. So we want to make sure they're gone. America should make the money it should from this business, okay? And it's not doing that today.
So just to jump ahead, because I did want to ask about predictor products, it's become a topic, right? And if we look at sort of available app data and, you know, I think even on Kalshi you can see on the different contracts how much is actually being wagered. I think for the Super Bowl on Kalshi, like something like $4 or $5 million was wagered, which is a drop in the bucket. It's nothing.
Absolutely.
Relatively speaking, but I think what you were getting at, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a whole illegal ecosystem that is going to feed off the back of whatever they're trying to do and get the word out around the product and sort of productize it for American citizens. There's this whole other industry that's going to be a lot bigger and an actual problem, a bigger problem potentially for the DraftKings and the Flutters of the world that we obviously care most about.
Absolutely, Sean.
Yeah.
So look, let's look at predictors and break it down. When we first noticed it, we obviously use a pattern forming, machine learning and AI platform to find all this stuff, okay? So we're looking for any keywords and key phrases and content, video, whatever it is, that gets people to gambling. When we started finding predictors, the first thing that went off was an alarm bell on search engine results pages, SERPs as they're called. So when you type in best online casino, okay, best online sportsbook, look at the results that come back, because here in America, still today, you will get a mixture of legal and illegal results. The illegal ones all mention the word predictors. Why? Okay, so one big brand, an illegal one, it's called bet, and then it's called something else and something.com. Okay, so I'm not going to say the name. I'm never giving these guys oxygen. That brand uses in their first results.
You got to call him directly if you want the actual names.
Yeah, for the affiliate deal, God forbid.
That's right, promo code.
I would never go back that way. Yeah, promo code is XXX666.
There you go.
So if the illegal gambling companies understood very early on, the under 30s audience has been tainted and immersed in this myth online that predictors are basically investment products of some capacity. Now, for every Kalshi that there is out there, there's a couple of hundred illegal gambling companies behind them who are going, everything that these guys say and do, copy it, and we're going to basically sell people more and more and more of the bullshit that we sell, and we're going to basically hide behind this kind of lie and myth of this is all legal and regulated and stuff, and it's a financial product, it's not gambling at all. If it was a financial product, why are people illegally, the biggest brands illegally, using it in their search and their results? They understood clearly it's just another name which we can sell another product by. It's sticking up a label to say, hey guys, I'm not gambling, I'm this. And you like that word more than you like the word gambling. Because gambling to the under 30-year-old audience maybe seems reckless, maybe seems like something their parents or their peers should be worried about. Whereas predicting, well, we can sell it to these guys as an investment product now, can't we?
Right.
I'm not saying that Kalshi's doing that. I'm saying what the illegal sector's doing.
No. It's just on the back of maybe their efforts, which are not necessarily negative or
not negative at all. Because they're a company who's saying the same way that look, the early online firms that wanted to come into America, DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, what did they do? They were outside the fence for years before the fence was erected. It's just this illegal thing. And basically it went, we want to be in America. We want to be giving American consumers these products. We want to pay taxes. We want to be legitimate and regulated. We want people to use these as fun entertainment products. We don't see why we can't do that. So can we please have the ability to have a discussion about this publicly? That's what they did, and that's exactly what Kalshi is doing. So they're taking from a very well-worn playbook. DraftKings did the same thing in their flip from daily fantasy sports to real money sports betting. DraftKings did the exact same thing. So what is there that's wrong in what Kalshi are doing? Nothing at all, okay? We're one of the contributors to the CFTC kind of upcoming roundtable. Kalshi will be there, I'm sure other brands will be there too. But we're one of very few from a data perspective who went, let's show you what's happening out there from the numbers, okay? Right. Let's show you what's happening out there from the audience. And for everything that you've said about what's going on with Kalshi, it's just a drop in the bucket. It's a drop in the bucket because they're being stolen from too, aren't they? Yeah. So those guys want to bring the prediction marketplaces to America, want to bring the volume and the money to America, want to bring happy consumers and happy investors to America, and they're getting stolen from too.
Got it.
So on the way,
that iceberg analogy maybe still applies to them as well.
Iceberg at the top. So every marketplace you set up here, crime is always there, and because crime was there from the beginning, and that's the thing. Unless we identify this as kick out the crime first, and then keep the crime gone in the future, we are always going to suffer here. YieldSec is what is YieldSec at its absolute core? It's a kick out the crime anytime platform. That was the whole point of it. So for every legal stakeholder, kick out the crime, make the money you should.
I had one thing I just wanted to just to flag on these slides, because I think in different investor days and as we get the monthly data from the legal sector that's reported by state, and obviously the companies now are giving us more disclosure, which is great. You know, we do see that older cohorts are still older cohorts of legalized cohorts are still growing at a decent clip. But I think the whole point of this is that the growth is actually should be a lot bigger, because there's this massive untapped opportunity, or maybe that's the point, that there's still a lot of growth to be had in existing states, because whether it's a slow bleed and you try to chip away like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Michigan have done, although unsuccessfully maybe on the sports side for Michigan due to those unique factors you called out. I guess like when we look at things and we're trying to model out for the next 10, 15 years, if there's not much change, it might just be kind of a slower move. But if there is actual change, you could see a pull forward of some of this activity. Instead of your states that legalized 5 years ago growing at 10 to 15% a year, you could be growing a lot faster, I guess.
Should be. I think we could maybe jump forward here to, I would say, legal opportunity, number 12, guys, top 10 states there. So let's look at the data slightly differently here. So instead of just looking at the numbers, let's look at this graphically and by color. So
some people are graphically inclined. So.
So for the graphically inclined, we're in your neighborhood now.
There we go.
So for the graphically inclined here, what you can see on this slide is basically green, legal, red, illegal, okay? So all that red, it's not just me saying that's the sky falling, that's me saying, smell that opportunity. Mm-hmm. Can you smell that money, okay? So that is America's great gambling gold rush is right there. That money needs to be turned over. And if you could shift red into green, look at how big these marketplaces become individually on their own. So there is a huge amount of space to be had here. So the main thing here is that, again, there is hardly anywhere, look at the Michigan there for top 10 states, legal beating illegal. Look at New Jersey, legal beating illegal. Look at Pennsylvania, legal beating illegal. If you can beat them, you can kill them. Yeah. That's the point, okay? So if we know we can make them bleed, we can kill them. It's like Schwarzenegger in Predator. If he bleeds, we can kill it. So you need to be looking at this going, okay, we thought they were predators, but maybe we can become those guys too. So you can become those guys. So the point here is, if you've made them bleed, hurt them now, okay? So that's the point. So look at a state like Ohio. Okay, they're making you bleed out. That's what's happening. Any of the states that have single product only, any of the states that have no legal products, they are making you bleed. And when you start bleeding, you will die, okay? So you need to be looking at this as survival and success. Where do I survive from? How do I survive? And how do I create ultimate success with my brand, my business, my state, my economy, my country? How do you get that to happen? So you need to be looking at this as New York. You might think you got a success story there, the leading state in America, but you're bleeding out because look how much money they're stealing from you. And that's the point here. When they make money, what does crime invest in? Not 401ks, not pensions, not the future of the workforce. Yeah. More crime is all they invest in. So what's coming here is basically whatever you take away from them, they'll come back with something else. So you thought Kalshi came up with legal predictors. That's what the trail they're blazing, okay? But they're being stolen from, and any of the future business that could come from that, the innovation that comes from Kalshi blazing that trail, what's going to happen? Crime is already investing in the next product, the next product, the next product. So that's the point here. Don't let these people keep stealing from us. So just to go back to slide 10, gents. The whole point here is what we call the Jenga tower. So we saw that we built our houses from straw, sticks, and bricks. Even when you build your house from bricks, you have all legal products, as you do in New Jersey, okay? Even there, when you now start changing the rules, and New Jersey's just announced, we're going to increase taxes. We may go from where we are, we may even double it.
See how strong the lobbying effort is before June.
The lobbying effort doesn't need to be that strong though, because this is just plain old logic from looking at the marketplace, look at the numbers, use YieldSec data. We're not here to give you a view on anything. YieldSec data is reality, okay? What we see is audience behavior, and their activity over time. That's it, okay? So we're fashioning an estimate for how much they're spending, but as you've seen from Super Bowl, 3 years running now, where the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't get that three-peat, somebody on social media said, YieldSec got the three-peat, okay? Because 3 years running, they've said, these are gonna be the numbers of bets legally and illegally, and if we're right legally, Sean, we have to be right illegally because we use an apples and apples methodology to look at everything. So 3 years running, we've called out what the Super Bowl bets were going to be. 3 years running, we've been right. This year, we don't know all the legal numbers yet, but we're already within 5% of it. So it's only going to get closer. So we'll land that moonshot again. But the point here is this. All those bricks that we built our house from, okay, and we thought the big bad wolf wouldn't get to us, we built a house that we basically then started taking bricks out of in these marketplaces. So we're building a Jenga tower everywhere, okay? So deposit limit changes, tax changes, ad bans, product restrictions on cross-sell and stuff. You start bringing that into a state like New Jersey and Michigan, you will start giving your bricks away to people. So tax rate increases. It's insane to increase the tax. I know why you're doing it, because you think we're not making the money we should, so we need to go to that industry.
Or we're spending too much money on the other side of the budget. Or
exactly,
whatever,
yeah. So whatever the reasons are why you need more tax money, gambling would love to be that industry like it was 35 years ago, where you could basically just roll up a dump truck and go, guys, we need some cash, could you give us some money? And they just fill that truck up with like Fort Knox levels of gold bullion for you, and you could drive away with it all. Okay, the gambling industry would love to be that one again, but it needs to own its marketplace like it used to in the land-based days, like it used to when the police would do raids on illegal gambling companies who were operating in the backwoods and stuff. So you know where you need to go to with this, kick the crime out, legal industry makes more money, you get more tax. It's real obvious ABC 1, 2, 3 stuff. Now, let's look out to slide 11. If we don't kick out the crime and we keep changing the business, what happens with those bricks? We give those bricks to crime, and what has crime been doing with those bricks we gave it? Building itself a fortress of illegal gambling. It's like Superman's Fortress of Solitude, except this is just a fortress of theft and stealing. That's all they're doing here. It's just stealing money, making an empire for themselves. And they are making that empire work for themselves real hard online in the American marketplace, because they understand so much of the American internet seeds the internet globally as well. So you want to be in the crime business in this country, in illegal gambling, because it helps you in Brazil, it helps you in Germany, it helps you in the United Kingdom, everywhere you go. So illegal gambling won't be disadvantaged by changes to taxing and stuff. We don't pay taxes.
Right.
Changes to regulation, we don't observe any regulation. We don't even care about the audience. We don't care if you bring in us children, self-excluded customers, whoever. We'll take the money from everybody, and then we'll also use that audience data to sell them other products, financial loans. So one of the biggest alarm bells we had going off at YieldSec last year, the betting marketplace being mixed in with the financial loans marketplace by crooks, okay? So crime is basically saying, if you lose money on gambling in China, we'll give you financial loans. And then we'll enforce those loans at high rates of interest, okay? That's coming globally. We've seen that start to pop up, marketplaces like Singapore, Australia, it's coming. So it's spreading very gradually, but everything that makes money online spreads pretty quick. So once you've proven it in some white middle-class countries like Australia, that will come to Scandinavia next, come to Western Europe next, and then America. It will come here.
Scary.
Scary stuff. So, how do we?
Oh, sorry.
Go on.
No, I was going to ask you on
slide 12.
On slide 12, I think it's a great visual, similar visual to what we had in table form. I'm more table inclined, by the way. But for those that care. But one question we have had on some of the illegal data is, you know, we're all trying to size the market and whatnot and size the opportunity. You know, if you could guess, you know, ballpark, what percent maybe of the illegal market would, no matter what, never become legal, right? Like it's crime infested, and hey, these people are going to jail, or they'll just stop and they'll go to some other, you know, division of crime, and it won't be gambling related. It'll be something unrelated to gambling.
Okay, so one thing I've got to touch your shoulder on now. It's not the illegal market.
Oh,
illegal
sorry,
industry.
yeah.
So illegal industry, because there's one marketplace by state and then by America, okay? So that's the only thing. So again, it's always tricky with this stuff, and I'm always happy to point out to people, it's never the market that's the problem, it's the industry that's the problem here. So let's take at what point do we think we could get rid of this? So what does success look like? You get into 70% plus being legal, we're in a good shape, okay? You know that you're winning the fight now. Where this should be is where it should trend to normally, stuff that I learned at Oxford when I was at university doing law. Everything should go to, any industry, you want to look for 0.5% to 1% of the marketplace is crime.
Got it.
Why? Because certain people have money that's been illegally gained that they need to spend illegally.
Right.
But this shouldn't be that 70% of the marketplace is a bunch of crime.
Right, no, and
So-
that's just it, right? Investors are looking at this and they're saying, okay, if somehow, by the grace of God, governments and companies and all stakeholders actually get their act together, it might not be 100%, but if it's damn near close to 100% of what could shift over,
So
that's insanely bullish.
let's
right?
let's jump forward here, okay? To one of
Teeing
the
you up
last
for-
slides, I'm going to show you 19. So enemy is crime, international
Slide
license.
19.
19. So on slide 19, we've got a couple examples from international here. So there's a good point to say it, because everybody looks at the UK as, oh, it's amazing, let's be like the United Kingdom. That's a great marketplace. It's great British, and they've got a great gambling marketplace, and it's wonderful, and it's run well, and it's fantastic. Roll that back slightly, okay? UK works because we've had 200 years plus of legal gaming, okay? Not online. I know that was only invented 30 years ago. So 200 years of legal gambling and all this kind of stuff. So you've got competitive gambling. You've got more than 2,500 online brands in the UK. There is no reason for a black market or illegal gambling to exist in the UK because customers have open choice, convenience, liberalized competitive marketplace, and they always have had that. We regulated in the UK in 2005. I'm saying we because you can hear from the sound of my voice that obviously I've spent some time at being a lineman in the UK, being one of them. Yeah. So I've obviously spent some time there, educated, born and raised there, okay? And you can look at Britain and say, okay, that's a success story. But is it, okay? So let's look at the graph there on the right. So we bought basically United Kingdom, GGR channelization, 2024 first half. Illegal, 94.7. You'll notice here that we're using the decimal point because it's that kind of marketplace. It's one of the best and biggest in the world for online gaming, one of the most profitable, but what's happening there? So we went from 3 years ago when YieldSec started its data stack 5 years ago. 3 years ago we started commercially and we've been 4 years ago now. We started commercially and we've been looking at a marketplace that has literally doubled every year. From that 0.5% sliver of the marketplace, it went to 1, then it went to 2. Then it went to 4. Now we've ended up at 5.3% for the first half of last year. I think the end of year numbers, we're doing the teams with those right now. You'll probably end up just north of 6% on this one. So 6% of a marketplace that's as successful as the UK is worrying. Why? Because it's starting to be unraveled. So crime found a way in. Crime's way in was noticed by YieldSec first. So we were monitoring it and we looked at it and went, things that we see in the UK that are leading this growth of illegal gambling operators. What are they coming to the UK for? Was it the mass market? Don't play with Paddy Power, don't play with Ladbrokes, play with illegalgambling.com that you've never heard of, have no reason to trust. That's not what they were doing. Just to be present in the UK marketplace, you need to be spending 10 grand a week on Google advertising, on PPC and pay-per-click stuff, just to get anyone to even notice that you're there. So why would illegal gambling come there when they need to spend money? They want to go to places where they don't need to spend any money. They want to get the customers that don't have any other choices. So that's exactly what they learned in the UK. It's like that was their learning ground for let's go after kids, let's go after the vulnerable, self-excluded customers only. And from there, we will build ourselves a kingdom, okay? And they have, because they've doubled every year in share.
Bad trend.
So that's what's worrying, okay? So you will look at in the next 3 to 4 years, you start making other changes in the UK where you bring in affordability checks and deposit limits, and we want to know all about your background. We want enhanced KYC. 10% is not unlikely of that marketplace to go to crime now. So let's look at what success looks like. You should be able to get to that 0.5%, which is basically factored customers, the ones who know too much about horse racing or college football. So the big legal gambling companies won't take their bets, but they still want to bet, so they're going to go illegal, aren't they?
Right.
That's what all land-based marketplaces used to look like. 0.5% could go to crime. Vegas understood this way back in the 70s. When they got rid of crime, that led to all the Wall Street money being invested there in the 80s. Sure. And now they have processes to keep it going.
Steve Wynn, Sheldon Adelson.
Exactly, that's what I look at as the Las Vegas lesson. That's what I call that. So YieldSec has that policy of make sure you know how to channelize your marketplace effectively. But literally lesson number 1, top of the pyramid, kick out the crime, keep it removed. Let's look at their EU Europe, okay? So just to make clear here, if we think that I'm down on America here, not at all. I'm hopeful about every marketplace can win. Nothing is impossible versus in online gambling. Nothing is impossible to defeat crime. You just need to know how to pick your battles here, okay? And look at that 8 ecosystem essentials. How do you get to the 9th? That's what you need to be looking at and policing. So thinking that you can just block one website, block payments or something, Single instance measures do not work. You need to be fighting the war here, and that's fought with more than one gun, okay? There's more than one tool you're gonna need in this. Look at EU, Europe, blended, 70% illegal, 30% legal. So again, that's showing you that America is in the right trend zone here, okay?
Yeah.
You're in the area, these guys have had 3 decades to kind of screw it up. You guys have had 7 years. So it's in 7 years, we're not at a good point. It is a tipping point year, 2025. And on our fundamental 5, crime is one of the lead items we need to be focused on. Then the audience next, because the audience is being possessed by crime right now because of that social media algorithm. Let's jump back to a few other things we want to get covered off today.
Oh, yeah.
So, slide 13, gentlemen. Gold is here. How do we get to the gold? Okay, so you've got some really basic examples in iconography here, which maybe people don't expect, but this comes down to price, product, promotion, okay? Fundamentals of any business. Price. Implement sustainable tax rates, and don't start threatening the legal industry with, well, we might double the tax rates, we might do this. Even talking about that is an opportunity for crime to go, you know what? And I'm not paid by anybody to say this or anything, just to make put my colors to the mast really clearly here. If you talk about tax openly, consumers aren't going to pay any attention to that discussion, but crime will, and crime will sell it back to the consumers. How? By saying, there's some stuff in the news at the moment about tax and stuff to do with gambling. So how about we tell you that gambling's about to be taxed? Your gambling is about to be taxed. So if you want tax-free gambling, step this way to my Curacao-based online sports betting company. So that's what they've done.
That's happened in. I think you and I have talked about this. It's happened in Europe a lot.
So in Europe, there was a debate in Swedish Parliament a couple of years ago about raising the tax rates on gambling. All of it was sold straight back to consumers as, oh my goodness, have you heard? They're about to be giving, it's like the kind of shocked horror face emoji. Oh my God, they're going to put tax on gambling. And everybody panicked and went, really? I don't want them to do that. I need to rush over here and not have that happen. So they did it in Germany too. They were like, oh guys, have you heard? Because they just start social media rumors, and they've got an army of people, influencers who are paid affiliate rates. So like all of a sudden you're looking at, okay, there's like 15,000 people having a discussion today about tax rates on gambling in Sweden. There is no tax rate on consumers. Oh no, there is. I've heard about it. So everyone's rushing into that room. So even talking about it is dangerous, okay? So on the tax rates here, implement sustainable tax rates. Let the industry make the money it should. You will get the tax you expect. But that's a mission together, working together, cooperation, legal stakeholder coordination, work to get rid of crime. So give the legal industry the tools they need. That's the only way to get to that goal. Pickaxes, dynamite's next. Products. Have all the products you need in the legal spectrum immediately, okay? So casino, poker, other card games, have predictor products. All of these things need to be openly available to consumers because they already are available to consumers. So the legal-illegal thing is lost. Consumers don't know what they're looking at if it's on their social media feed, if it's on their search, if it's on their device. They will trust it, they will transact with it. And let's not start saying, well, we need to cut off the payments. Payments is the last thing. The exposure that the audience has is the first thing you need to look at. What do they see? Okay? Because that's everything that YieldSec is obsessed with. We only get to the money after noticing where they were first. Then they got to the money. Cause and effect. The cause, how did they get to the gambling? The effect, somebody stole your money. That's what's going on here. So promotions, let legal gambling operators advertise. And I'm saying that clearly because yes, you have advertising here in America, but it's broken up, it's fragmented, because I could be watching those ads in Texas. There's no legal gambling there.
Right.
So what do I do now? So for everything I see from BetMGM and DraftKings, it's just completely wasted on me, isn't it? So it should be some kind of resonance effect here to say that there is a state-based view of this, state-based control on a jurisdiction level, but there's a national marketplace for advertising because illegal gambling buys its advertising on a nation basis.
Right.
Legal gambling buys its advertising on a state basis and pays more for that privilege, which is nuts. Come on. So it's easier for a crook, cheaper for a crook to come into the American marketplace than it is for MGM, DraftKings, and ESPN Bet, for example. I mentioned ESPN Bet because, again, why isn't that brand working? Why? Okay, one of the biggest brands in sports, run by one of the oldest gaming companies in America, and it has not hit the ground running, kind of thing. No. Why? And that's because they're being stolen from ruthlessly on the level of ESPN being a brand that's stolen from as a streaming platform. So all the events that they have are being stolen by illegal streaming, and the betting that should be next to that, the kind of being able to watch and bet while you watch the game, is being stolen by illegal gambling. So that's why that brand is not working. So that to me was one example of when ESPN Bet came along, like everyone else, very excited. That's a great brand matchup run by two heavyweight divisions, Disney in one corner and Penn National Gaming in the next.
Right.
And why isn't it working? Because crime stole from both of them.
So the whole linkage between accounts and your Disney Plus or ESPN Plus is not really bearing fruit because it's
everyone's being stolen from. So that's the thing. You need to accept that you've been stolen from here. You were made a victim. And the thing is, you don't need to just get used to it and like it. Work with us, find out how you were stolen from, find out how to prevent it, and fundamentally get back to making money. The whole thing that I was excited about in my operational career, I built 3 #1 brands globally, okay? Hundreds at the local level once regulation came in Europe. Why? I was that guy that I know what customers want. I'm going to give them what they want, and I'm going to make sure that regulators understand me, media understand me, politicians understand me too. Because I'll talk about this to say, make the money you should. Then you'll get the tax, you'll get the control as governments and politicians. For everybody who's out there talking about, well, we want to get rid of gambling and there shouldn't be any gambling, even you guys need to rely on the money from the legal industry to fund your kind of anti-gambling campaigns. And we should have that discussion openly as an industry. There should be pro and anti-gambling, but fundamentally, when there's an audience that demand and desire this product, give them what they want, tax and regulate it, control it, make it fair, safe, sustainable, and entertaining. Everybody gets what they want here. Something for everybody from this marketplace, if you run it right. And that means get rid of the crime. First lesson we have to get to. So that's the problems we have. I don't think we need to talk about, success and failure. Let's go to slide 14. So success and failure, it's an illegal gambling. Legal versus illegal. Price, product, promotion is the heavyweight division that we're in here. So legal gambling has to abide by regulations. We all know that. Illegal gambling does not. Legal gambling cannot engage with illegal streaming content. Disney wouldn't like that very much. Nobody does illegal streaming, okay? Audience can watch the sports illegally and bet in play on those things on illegal gambling platforms. Legal gambling's got to pay taxes. That's obviously reflected in pricing. Illegal gambling doesn't pay any, so they're unbeatable on price. So you need to see the problem of marketplace duality here. If I'm selling a product over here, which I did not pay for, I make all the money in the world. These guys had the cost of sales baked into their product, and now they've got the cost of tax added to it. Yep. And now they've also got the cost of lobbying to try and convince people, there's a problem over here, guys, and we really need some help. But everyone's kind of going, no, you're bad gambling. There is one bad gambling, and that's illegal gambling, okay? Legal gambling has the ability to really shine here and own a marketplace, and it should also provide benefit for the 3 C's, as we call them: commerce, community, consumers. That's how YieldSec look at this thing. The only people who benefit the 3 C's, legal gambling every time. So you know that they win. Legal gambling has connection to land-based resorts. Now let's focus on that, because that's one unique selling point that legal gambling has, the connection to those land-based resorts. But constantly we hear from tribal gaming and commercial groups who are land-based, we hate online gaming. We want to get rid of online gaming. We want to lobby against it. We want to, basically tell everyone that they're cannibalizing our brick and mortar estates. Guys, everybody, okay, around the world, not just here in America, you were cannibalized a long, long time ago, okay? Yeah. You are being cannibalized right now, okay? This has been going on for 3 decades, the online gaming industry. It's been cannibalizing from land-based for 3 decades. But only here in America, the country that invented the land-based casino resort, do you have the ability to link, okay? So, tribal gaming groups had sports rights that were very valuable, that they could sell to other groups like DraftKings and FanDuel. Those rights are worthless right now because of crime. Not because of DraftKings and FanDuel existing, they're worthless because of crime. So where you had the rights, tribal gaming groups, to be able to sell those to sports betting companies, online gaming companies, sell those rights once you've helped kick out crime as well. Because that's how an online gaming marketplace pays everybody. Everybody should make the money they should. Illegal gambling has no land-based resorts. So that whole policy of earn to return kind of thing, where basically I visit a land-based resort with my wife, partner, we have a great time for 3 or 4 days, and you guys have those resorts here in America. Yeah, we definitely don't have those kind of resorts in Europe, okay? So when you have those resorts in America, and we have an audience who loves visiting like that, make sure that when you visit the property, the app is put on the phone. Now when they leave, if they were allowed to gamble in every state, that is, on the casino products, now they can earn to return another time, because they can play their app on their phone while they're away from the property, and next time when they come back, they get a free steak dinner, a room upgrade. The wife gets spa treatments. That's your omni-channel dream that we all had 7 years ago here in America.
Certainly did.
And we don't have it anymore, do we?
We certainly don't.
Omni-channel dream, just basically, it's like Metallica's Enter Sandman. It's like, where did that go? It's like, it's just like, say your prayers and hope for the best, because that's what's going to happen here. So we need to control this much, much better as a business. Run it right, make the money you should. We can help all get rid of crime together. So, slide 15, USA National, who's winning, okay? So, GGR channelization in 2023, 57.8 billion. Big marketplace out there, okay? What's the marketplace this year? 2024, this is a Hedgeye exclusive, $90.1 billion, okay? Total marketplace. What's the growth rate legally? 36% only. So it's great, it's a nice high number, but 36% is the lowest number on this page.
Yeah.
So legal's not doing so well. It went from 16.9% to 16.9 billion to 23 billion. Illegal growth, 64%, from 40.9 billion to 67.1, okay? Total blended growth is 56%. So you are looking at a marketplace on rails. The problem is, who's driving the train? Crime is driving the train, okay? So we're right back at the end of that freight car, okay? And we're not doing well right now. But we are really, look at any other industry, 36% growth, you'd be going, give me that,
Pretty
please,
good.
okay? It's wonderful. But when you look at what's lining up next to it, crime lining up next to it, taking 64%, that's almost double, that's kind of nuts, okay? And if we're right on legal, we have to be right on illegal. Apples and apples methodology. So we know we're looking at the right place here. Now, concerning thing is, new yield sec measure, another Hedgeye exclusive here, on slide 16. So the jaw slide is how this will be known going forward. Okay, audience exposure. So let's get away from the money. Let's just look at where we think the marketplace is going in the next year to 18 months. Audience exposure is taking all of those ecosystem essentials, all of the 8, the I slide as it is from the beginning of this podcast today. Take all of those measures, search, sites, social media, etc. What does the average American see? Okay? What does he interact with? And interacting from yield sec perspective is a very clearly defined term. It's doing more than just seeing an ad. You did something with it, okay? You clicked on it, you liked a post, you followed a search engine result. So you've done something active. In audience exposure terms, and this is one of the highest we've seen in the world, okay? Audience exposure terms, we are tipping into illegal control of this industry in the next few years, okay? Proper control means more than 90%.
Yeah.
88% of what the audience see, average Americans, that's children and adults, to be clear. So we're looking at all audience members here, because illegal gambling obviously looks at all audience members. Illegal gambling has an 88% share over the American gambling mind of a consumer, okay? 12% of what they see is legal. So if anybody out there thinks, oh, well, you know, these legal guys, they advertise too much. Really?
Yeah.
Really, guys? Because from what the average consumer sees, most of which is led by online activity, 88% is illegal, okay? So there is a root and branch job to be done in America, in every state, on every of one of those 8 ecosystem essentials. Get rid of crime, its presence, its reality, okay? And that doesn't just mean getting rid of one website or something, because crime also survives through its supply chain, the same way that legal gambling relies on its supply chain. So for legal gambling to exist, it needs a whole bunch of game providers, a whole bunch of affiliates, a whole bunch of influencers, social media posters, advertising platforms, banks, payment processors. Illegal is exactly the same. If legal is allowed to exist and you want it to make money, you can easily start pulling the chain there and breaking up illegal gambling, criminal gambling's presence and reality. Start to break it up. So
fascinating. So this could be, I mean, in a worst case scenario, because we always want to frame up the worst and best case.
Absolutely.
This could be somewhat of the mix at least could be a leading indicator essentially for the mix that we currently have in GGR terms.
Yeah, so where we're going now, we're at basically, going back to our previous slide, we are at 74-26, okay, is where we are right now. I'm saying in a year to 18 months time, you're going to be trending towards the 80% if everything stayed the same.
Yeah.
So if certain big states decided to completely change the tax rates, that's lending more propulsion to crime.
Or fail to legalize.
If a whole bunch of states come in and basically go, we're going to license all products tomorrow, it's going to change the game for us, isn't it, completely, okay? So this could change, but on a basis of a standing start where we are right now, so this isn't just 2024, this was done in the last week. Audience exposure measure, from what Americans are seeing, any American audience member, children, adults, old age pensioners, everybody, okay, Everybody from what they see, if they interact with gambling in any way, shape or form online, what they're seeing, 88% of it is illegal, linking to illegals, going to illegals, brought to you by illegals. 12% of it only is brought to you by legals. So if anybody thinks, well, we've basically, the legal guys, we gave them an ability to, we gave them an open road, and look what they've done with their advertising on everything, every TV show, every sports team. It's nothing compared to what the illegals are doing. And also, all that the legal industry is doing is trying to convert from what was crime into what's now commercial activity.
Exactly.
Taxed and regulated here.
This is, I think this, I mean, obviously I care most on the gaming revenue numbers that you guys provide, which we love that detail, and I'm sure many that are listening and watching do too, but this number is going to be really interesting to see you guys
come
update.
Back to, exactly.
Over time.
So we update these in real time all the time, and the main thing here is that, again, you have an audience member. Just imagine, the reason why we use the Jaws analogy, imagine your audience member swimming into this online ocean, okay? So in their online ocean, they're looking around for information, they're doing other stuff, and they're shopping and buying pizzas and whatever they do. Where they're going to get to is a point where they can't even see the land anymore, okay? So they've swum out into the ocean, and there's so little legal land to get back to, and all that's coming for you are sharks now. So
or illegal boats.
Exactly,
yachts.
yeah. All these yachts, but no one's coming to save you because they can't even find you anymore, because in your feed on social media, you have been inundated by crime. You have been owned by crime as a consumer. And that's the point we need to get it to here, is it's not just these big gambling companies who are being stolen from. You, the individual American consumer, is being stolen from and made a victim by these people. Because when you win, where is the success story of these companies paying you out all the money they should? When you win with illegal gambling companies, they'll give you any one of a number of reasons why they shouldn't be paying you. And then next to them come all the scam sites too. So where we want to get this to, the dream of this, so let's get back to the positive side of this. Nothing is impossible. Crime can be defeated at every level by every legal stakeholder. Law enforcement, taxation teams, treasury teams, state government departments, state regulatory departments. Fundamentally, the operators can make money here, okay? Yeah. And what's the potential for this? So let's go to slide 17. Let's talk about the theme park. So another great American invention, a business that was completely reinvented and owned by America, the theme park. So let's look at online gaming as the theme park potential for this business, okay? So we have our theme park with our Ferris wheel and roller coasters and kids rides. Not for kids in gambling, obviously. We're just giving an analogy here, just to be clear. I'm not saying children should gamble. They should be fundamentally excluded. In the online gambling marketplace, you need to put a fence up. Yep. Because if this was Disneyland, and I've saved up, I've taken my daughter to Disneyland in most places in the world, okay? I loved going, and it was such a wonderful experience to save up the money and book the tickets and the really expensive hotels and all the things where you can have dinner with the stars and all the characters and everything else. And when you got there, I remember fundamentally going there and going, here's my tickets and everything, and I had to pay and pay and pay, and it's fine. It's an experience I'm going to have, and it's something that was an aspiration and a dream. That's like America's online gambling marketplace going to Disneyland, okay? So you've saved up, you've taken the whole family, you've all driven there, you've got there, you paid your money and got in. Wouldn't you be a bit shocked if you looked over and your daughter said, Daddy, who are all those people cutting the hole in the fence and just coming in, and they're stealing everything, and they've taken my chips and my drink, and oh look, they've now pushed their way on the queue in front of me too, and they're having all the rides, and I'd be like, I'm outraged by that. And so would Mickey Mouse be, so would Disney be outraged by that. But that's what the online gambling marketplace is doing. People are cutting holes in the fence and coming in and taking our stuff. And what, we're just supposed to go, oh, well, it's gambling, so we don't care? No, you should care. This is your money, your marketplace. You have to care about this. So those holes in the fence, if this was Disney, they would have those holes closed. They would have security, like they do, to keep you out. They would make sure that the cost of entry is going to be high, and it's going to continue to get higher because we police and own our own marketplace. That's the point here. Remember the Disney example here? Disney wouldn't tolerate this, okay? Disney wouldn't tolerate competition, wouldn't tolerate crime, wouldn't tolerate theft. So why in online gaming are we tolerating it?
And what do we have here is that I initially looked at like a sombrero, but I believe that looks like a UFO.
You probably need to bring the slide back and I will explain what that is.
Slide 17,
so that's, you saying
Before we wrap up here, we went a little over, but I love it.
Okay, so it's a UFO is what you said that was. That's not a sombrero, and it's not a UFO. We don't use that word UFO anymore. It's UAP. That is illegal gambling, and it's unlawfully available punting, or betting, as we call it in English. So punting is an English word. So it's a UAP that my team have put on there. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Got to watch out for those UAPs.
Got to look out for those UAPs because illegal gambling will go. I don't think in America you've been dealing with aliens or an alternate reality here bringing UFOs and UAPs. It's just illegal gambling, trying to find another way to get to customers. So that's what all that stuff in the skies is. It's basically illegal gambling and it's unlawfully available punting. They're just trying to bring a crime to our marketplace in another way because they're worried about getting blocked in other ways. So what we're telling you here is clearly 4x is the growth rate, okay? 4 times the marketplace is what we can own legally here, okay? So even if we take the 0.5%, 1%, even if we said 5%, it's still going to be owned by crime in the future because there are so many Americans who want to gamble on credit with people who charge them 40% interest a week. Even if that was 5% of the marketplace, we're still at 3.75 growth. So 4 times growth is what we should be looking for here, 4 times growth, okay? But we need to get clear to the point where we all make the money we should by cooperating and working together, fundamentally using YieldSec services and data, because what we've clearly shown over years, clearly shown over the podcasts we've done, and the next one we want to do with you guys is to show you where's the growth at the state level, where's the growth at the product level, where's the growth coming from for the next couple of years. Because what the message for now is a clear alarm bell on more of the marketplace is going to crime than we've seen before. Let's just touch on Super Bowl quickly, okay? Last slide we have, slide 18, guys. Estimate on the marketplace there for Super Bowl. So just to be clear, we've done this 3 years in a row now. People have called it out on social media already. 4.8 billion would be bet, this is handled, to be clear. Legally, illegally, 75%, and legally 1.6 billion. So we're within a hair's whisker of this thing already, okay? That we're already down to like less than 5%, we'll probably be less than 1% in the next couple of weeks as more states announced. Us getting that right for 3 years in a row is telling you one thing. These guys are monitoring the audience and their activity, and they're right. And the more data we see and consume, AI and machine learning and expert human teams, the more we're going to be right. So if we're right on these ones where I basically tell the team to do these, why? Because it's a nightmare for the team. They're like having to work the computers and everything and during the event and for the weeks before it, and they all hate doing it, but they all get satisfaction at this point. So just for the team's benefit, I wanted to say that. Thank you for all the work you've done on this. The main thing on Super Bowl was this. Us getting this right 3 years in a row is just to show off to everybody to say, you know, we're just going to do our little dance here because we know that we're that right on these numbers. So if we're right on this, it's the same methodology and platform that we lose for everything else. If we're right here, we're right everywhere. And estimate to actual, it's a moonshot landing. When we did it the first time, people were surprised. Were they lucky? Did it in year 2, did it in year 3, okay? We'll carry on doing this just because I like owning this Super Bowl thing.
3's a streak.
3's a streak,
Absolutely.
but I like having those streaks. Everybody loves those streaks.
Absolutely.
So the main thing here is America got seduced again by illegal gambling because of the Taylor Swiftization of the Super Bowl. So all those novelty bets, what's corrupting predictor marketplace, what's also stealing oxygen from the sports betting marketplace, it's being brought by crime. So they understood that entertainment and novelty is a way just to get the audience attention, engagement, and then the transaction. So it's another way of stealing the money, but they're showing you a new lesson there. We need to avoid how they own these events going forward. And March Madness is right around the corner. March Madness, we also do these predictors on. That's another thing for us to discuss probably next time is, where did March Madness end up? So here we're looking at with Super Bowl, the most bet on single instant sports event in human history. March Madness is the most bet on event for a tournament, okay? So America owns these massive sports betting events, but crime has taken from those sports betting events, and we need to get our marketplace back, get our events back, get control of this back, and our industry and money back.
Great way to wrap up. I think probably the best one that you guys have put together from a data perspective, all wrapped in obviously with your perspective that is obviously global.
Thank you.
Not just the U.S. market, which I think for a lot of us, you know, and our clients is important that you're speaking from a global perspective and having understood and operated in the gaming industry as well. So really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
He's Ismail Vali of YieldSec. I'm Sean Jenkins of Hedgeye. We'll catch you back here next time. Thank you
so much. Thank you.